Hello viewers, so we're selling 3/4 of Luckyfish and keeping 1/4 of her for ourselves. What is it about share ownership that made us think of selling the boat this way? I know some of you are quite skeptical about share ownership, but by the end of this video I think you will have changed your mind. I'm Stuart and this is Zaya. Normally we are sailing our reasonably priced catamaran, Luckyfish, across an ocean or around the islands. But this year we stayed in Mongolia to have this little guy. Subscribe and join our journey. Let's be clear about one common misconception right from the start. Yacht syndication or fractional ownership is not timeshare or sail time or some of the other schemes you might have heard about. This is co-ownership of the actual asset with your name on the title. You're free to sell your share at any time and recover the cost. And in fact the whole process of selling your share is made a lot easier due to the lower cost of entry for a buyer, the fact that no survey is required, and as shares are scarce, they don't last long on the market. In this video, I'm going to share with you everything we've learned about what makes this such a good deal for anyone who can't or doesn't want to live aboard and cruise full time. Perhaps you're still working or semi-retired or even fully retired, but have other activities you also want to do apart from sailing. The point being, why not share the boat with other owners who will save you the costs when you're not using it? Who wouldn't want to multiply their buying power by 4 or even 10 times and then only pay 1/4 or 1/10 of the maintenance and running costs? Just think for a minute what a different kind of boat that can get you. Or looking at it another way, if you're on a small budget, co-ownership can get you on the water a lot sooner while you continue to save up for outright ownership. And here's another advantage. We all know that boats start to deteriorate when they're not being used. Mould starts, electrical switches start to corrode, fluids and oils begin to stagnate, greases harden and moving parts begin to seize up. By utilising the boat more with other co-owners, the boat is kept moving and in a state of readiness for when it becomes your time to go cruising. No one wants to turn up to go sailing, especially if there's the crew there waiting for you, only to end up on the phone calling for parts and looking for service people to come and help you get the boat going. Visit any marina and you'll find that story time and time again. But what about wear and tear, I hear you say? Doesn't it cost more if more people are using the boat? Well, yes, a bit, but surprisingly most of the wear and tear on a boat comes from things like UV, sunlight, salt and humidity. These things are constant whether the boat's being used or not. But for us, here's the real kicker: running costs. Insurance, mooring fees, regular and scheduled maintenance costs, they all add up. These are fixed overhead, whether you use the boat for 1 month or 12 months a year. By splitting the budget for these costs among several owners, there's simply more money available for replacing parts when needed or outsourcing repairs to professional contractors. This means the boat is maintained to a very high standard, and I would venture to say to even higher standards than privately owned boats under sole ownership. So what makes a successful syndicate? Clearly a certain level of sailing experience is required for the mutual assurance of all co-owners. While the existing co-owners will be more than happy to give a new co-owner a boat and area briefing before they head out to sail for the first time, being in a sailing syndicate is not a place to learn to sail. Secondly, the right blend of owners is important for the syndicate to work. You wouldn't want, for example, to have 2 teachers from Canada in the same syndicate, both wanting the school holidays at the same time. But a school teacher from Canada with, say, some parents of school-aged children from the UK could work. Also important is the ability for each co-owner to fund the annual maintenance and running costs, which are generally about 10% of the total value of the boat. Given that these are split amongst all the co-owners, this cost couldn't really be made more affordable. Finally, a sound written syndicate agreement is essential. This is a legal document that all the co-owners within the syndicate agree to. It covers every eventuality, including changing the base port for the boat, handling disputes, sale of shares, maintenance schedule, owner usage calendar, and so on. So what's the deal with Luckyfish? Well, you can tour the boat here, and also visit the website here, and there's a link in the video description that'll take you straight to all the details of the deal. We decided to sell the boat in quarters for $30,000 each. That entitles each co-owner to 12 weeks use of the boat per year. It's almost sold out now with just one spot left, but don't let that deter you from expressing your interest. We're keeping a list, and it's not necessarily prioritised in the order in which we receive inquiries, but for the factors that I previously mentioned. Share ownership is quite dynamic, and shares come on the market quite frequently. We know of one catamaran where all of the existing owners are none of the original owners, and in fact the shares on that boat are now being sold at a premium to what the original price was. In fact, the cumulative value of all of those shares, it's a production catamaran, value the boat at a higher price than equivalent sole ownership boats that are currently on the market. Zaya, Leo and I will be back on the boat in December. It's not easy, is it? That's right. Arms out. Oh. We're going to spend a month preparing the boat for what's going to be a solid year of cruising in 2020. During January and February, we're going to give the new owners area and boat briefing and spend as much time as is required with them to get them comfortable on board the boat. During that time, we're going to be filming the whole time and also finishing off the 10 Ways Warham's a Wonderful series. So drop me an email if you'd like to join us and help make the syndicate a great success. Next week, for a complete change, Zaya wants to do a video called 10 Things You Didn't Know About Us. That's bound to be full of surprises, so make sure you subscribe and don't miss it. In the meantime, let us know what you think about shared ownership in the comments below. Perhaps you've been in a syndicate yourself or know someone who has. Thanks very much as always to our patrons who help make these videos possible and who are also in for some great surprises next year. Cheers all, see you next week.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and thank you for watching.